All
You
right.
ready?
All right. My name is Rachel, and I'm interviewing Johnny Rogers, which is my dad. He's a history teacher in Mississippi. And so question one, why did you choose to teach?
Well, when I was younger, I had a lot of good teachers growing up in elementary school, middle school, high school, and they just had a big impact on me, and I always felt like it would be an interesting profession. I had some really good teachers when I was younger.
Okay. How long have you been teaching?
Almost done with my 20th year. I took a little time off and tried some other professions after graduating with my education degree at Delta State, and tried some other things. And in my mid-30s, I got into the profession and been doing it for about 20 years now.
Okay. What are your most important learning goals for your students?
Well, I would like to think that my students will be prepared for college, for one thing, if that's what they so desire. But I'd like for them to be able to think critically about certain issues and be engaged.
Okay. How do you provide relevant learning experiences for your students?
Could you repeat that?
How do you provide relevant learning experiences for your students?
We have about an hour and 40 minutes a day for each class period. So in that time frame, we have to develop a variety of things, and you can't do any one thing for that length of time. You can't lecture for an hour and a half. You can't do book work for an hour and a half. You can't watch videos. So we try to divide things up into a series of mini lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and we try to do a little bit of all that. We like to have discussions. We like to read. We'll watch whatever audio visual materials we can find that are relevant. We'll do group activities. So we try to break it up and keep things as interesting as we can.
Okay. What suggestions would you give prospective teachers to help them prepare for their first year?
Definitely know your content, know your subject. I think that would give you the confidence that you need, because especially at the middle and high school levels, kids today, they're so sharp and they're so smart, and they can really tell if you're trying to bluff them on something. They know, but you really need to know your subject area, and basically just try to be a well-rounded and interesting person. I think that helps today.
Okay. What do you think is the most rewarding part of being a teacher?
For me, it's been just the relationships with students over the years, and especially after the fact. A lot of times they'll come back to the school and come back and share with you, some of the positive impacts you've had on their life and so forth. But I think that would be most rewarding.
Okay. So what do you think is the most difficult part of teaching?
A lot of people might think that the discipline, you hear that so much. For me, it's just the physical side of it. Most people probably wouldn't think in those terms. You think, well, being in a classroom, it shouldn't be that that physically difficult, but you have to stay on your toes and stay on your guard from the time you arrive at school, and you're always responsible for children or young people, and you're either going to be on duty, or you're going to be in front of the classroom, or you're going to be driving a school bus, or you're going to be conducting a club or an activity. So it's just at the end of that, sometimes turns out to be 10, 12-hour days. It's physically demanding. but it's worthwhile.
Okay. In what ways do you currently employ educational technologies in your classroom?
In the past, I have taught, computer classes and computer discovery in Mississippi. We called it, and I kind of got away from that a few years back and got into the more traditional classrooms, and that's going to depend on the school districts and how much money they have to spend, but I try to stay current on websites, that's relevant to what we're trying to teach, and basically I use for the most part a computer and a projector, and I will find relevant, like as I said, websites and the internet, obviously. So.
So how do you communicate with parents? Is it through email? Is it through phone? What is it?
Most parents, at our school at least, most of the parents still like to have that that conversation. I'm okay with communicating, through email, but most of the parents, I believe, like to hear that phone call and hear your voice and hear the tone and the inflection and so forth. So for the most part, it's still by the old telephone.
And how often do you have to contact parents?
Being a coach, as you know, it's and I don't actually have a planning period, and it makes it very difficult to communicate as often as I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, after the season, we tend to have a little bit more time than others. Otherwise, it's just as whenever we can find a few minutes to make a call.
Okay. So how do you think teaching has changed over the last 20 years?
The last 20 years has gone by so fast. Probably more than anything else would be the technology and some new philosophies and some new ideas. Things have tended to go in the direction of a lot more, technology and group activities in the classroom. We try to use the energy of the students themselves, and they play off each other and a lot of times help each other, and it makes for a more interesting class.
Okay, well, I think that's all I have for you. Thank you for your time.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.